Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and this is going to be, what the heck? Oh, that's the light. Okay, I thought for a second, what the heck was that in the corner? It was the freaking light hitting the carpet. It's going to be my review for Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts Episode 1. I just got done recording that. And I would have done that yesterday, but I had to deal with my nephews all day, and I didn't get a chance to, so I was like, oh, screw it, I'll do it in the morning. But I love this show. I love it. It's a romance anime. It's neat. And it has a similar twist to Inuyasha, actually, because the main female character, Sari, or Serafi, I think is what her name is, her full name, she is the 99th sacrifice, and it turns out that her parents had raised her as a decoy to be a sacrifice. So essentially they took in I'm assuming an orphan. They took in an orphan and raised her whole life to be a sacrifice for this king, essentially. And she found this out, and, well, that scared her more than the king, apparently. And, yeah, she's snarky. I like her. She speaks her mind. Because she gets onto Anubis when he was talking about how she's essentially the scrawniest one that they've sent, and how the next one should be fattened up for him because it's not going to give him any nourishment, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, hey, that's kind of rude. I'm not scrawny. And she starts arguing with the guy. And the king essentially sends him away and is like, why are you not scared of me? Most other sacrifices have been trembling on the floor begging for their lives. And she's like, I'm not scared of you. I've got nothing else to go back to, and essentially, it isn't happening. I'm gonna die anyway. Might as well accept it. And he gets intrigued by her, and I love how she essentially acts when she's around him, she is so cute, and she acts like he is cute. Like she said his paws were cute and soft and squishy. And he's like, are you mocking me? I'm like, she's not mocking you. She thinks parts of you are cute. I mean, who wouldn't think someone with a fluffy tail is cute? Wouldn't you think that's cute? I would think having a fluffy tail is cute. It's so fluffy. And he decides, because of this, that he's going to keep her around by his side until the sacrificial time, which is the next day, during the full moon. And I was actually wondering, is there, for some reason, what happens if he doesn't eat her? Does something bad happen, or is it just supposed to be like a symbol thing where it's supposed to show like his dominance over the humans or something like that? I don't know. I'm assuming nothing happens, because, I mean, they would have had a much stronger reaction at the end. Or something bad would have happened had he not done it right then. Anyway, she ends up wandering the castle with the two little bodyguards, Sai and Klops, which are adorable, by the way. They are adorable. They love her. And he finds her and tells her, yeah, who told you can leave my room? And he brings her back with him. And just the interactions between the two, he could have just as easily dragged her along the floor. No, he picks her up and carries her. Just him being gentle with her is showing that he does actually care. And it makes me wonder, did he treat the other sacrifices this way, or is it just her? I'm assuming that all the other sacrifices were kept in probably a different room until the ceremony, essentially. But she is different. And he heads down to one of the old ruins where some rebels are still living there. And he has to keep them in line so that way they don't try and attack other humans and get themselves killed in the process. So essentially he's trying to protect them from themselves. And he told her essentially that because of the miasma, no flowers can grow, but apparently in that area, there's an area where it's really thin, so flowers can bloom, and she finds a field of flowers, and she gets all happy about it. And she makes a flower crown and puts it on his head, and I'm like, a crown for the king. It's cute. Yes, it's flowers, but good God, let her humor her. She's not mocking you. She genuinely cares. And he told her that you can't really take them back to the castle because they'll wilt. And I thought they'll automatically wilt when she brings them up there, but no, they'll wilt over time. Because she does bring some up there, and she ends up talking with him until it gets to be almost time for the ritual, and he finds out that she's scared of thunder, and it's because it reminds her of when she found out that she was raised her whole life to be a sacrifice, and those lifeless stares from the people she thought were her parents this whole time. But essentially, she claims that his eyes are not like that. They are actually, they're kind eyes, essentially. And he puts on a gruff exterior to hide that, so that way he's not seen as weak, essentially. And that scene from earlier where he's telling her how he could easily kill her right now, and it wouldn't matter, essentially. The way that looked, if somebody was to walk into that room and see that, that looked very suggestive. Anyway, she is dressed in the traditional garbs. Actually, later on, before that, sorry. While he's talking to her about that and he finds out that she's scared of the thunder, he uses his tail to try and muffle the thunder, and that's when she was talking about how his fluffy tail is so adorable. And essentially tells him that he's a really nice guy, despite, his rough and tough exterior, and how he's acting all angry when he's not. But then again, he's a king. He's gotta be tough, to an extent, to his people, to show that he can protect them if the need arises. So she ends up getting dressed in the sacrificial garb, and when I saw it, I was like, this looks like a freaking wedding dress. And she said the same dang thing. She said this looks like a wedding dress, and she's all happy and giddy about it. And they bring her to the room, and apparently he never lets anybody see him when the ritual happens, and this happens during a full moon. And I was like, wonder why he doesn't let them see it. I guess he doesn't want them to see him killing the sacrifice or something. I mean, then again, they're all demons. I'm sure that wouldn't be anything new to them, considering what they've probably seen in we know of battles and wars and stuff. And that's what I was thinking at the time, but then she ends up getting grabbed by a fanatical rebel who is planning to kill her and take her place, and then kill the king. And before he can do that, somebody steps in and blocks the knife with their own hand. And I'm like, who is this? And I was trying to figure out who the heck could possibly be in that room with them. And I was like, the king is the only person that should be in there with them. And I was like, wait a minute. And then she defends that person and said, because the guy is talking trash about the king, and she tells him that he's a great king, not knowing that that's the king. That guy that just defended her was the king. Yeah, that's why I said this kind of takes inspiration from Inuyasha, because Inuyasha turns mortal when a full moon happens. And no, it's not because he's royalty. No, it's because he's half human. Yeah, he sends the guy packing, but thankfully I don't think the guy realizes that this is the king. He probably was just intimidated enough to leave. And he explains to her that he essentially is half human, and he only turns into this form during the Night of Revelation, during that sacrifice, during the full moon, essentially. So that's why I said it took inspiration from Inuyasha. Or I assume it did, anyway. Because that's what I was thinking of when I saw that. And essentially, he never eats the sacrifices. Any sacrifice he gets, I'm assuming he sends away. He tells them to essentially escape to another door and leave. Because he tries to point her to the door to leave, but then she tries to bandage his injured hand. And then when the ritual is supposed to be complete, they come in, find him in his demon form with a lot of human blood on the floor, and they assume that he ate them. So essentially, he's never eaten the sacrifice. And he tries to tell her to run and leave, essentially, and she essentially tells him that if I have to die, I'd rather be eaten by someone who is actually, and nourish somebody who's actually a caring person. Even if they are, even if they are beasts, but still. And she thinks that he's going to, but no. He plans to make her his queen. Much to the astonishment and shock of all his attendants. And they're like, we don't want the bloodline to be tainted by human blood. I'm like, dude, it's too late for that one. It's already been tainted by human blood. He's already got human blood in him. But they don't know that. And I'm assuming he's not going to tell them because that could possibly leak out, and who knows what his people would think. But then again, I know that there are some who probably won't care, obviously, because this is something he cannot help. He cannot help having human blood. I'm assuming his mother was the one that was human. Because they keep talking about his father being the one to fight in the last Great War, and I'm assuming he was a beast. So it was a beast and a human. I am curious as to what happened to... Oh, his mother's probably dead, duh. His mother was human, and that war happened during the last century. So she had to have been dead by now. So sadly, she's not going to meet her future mother-in-law. So, yeah, and we also find out that he didn't have a personal name, because she asked him, what's your name? And he tells her that he doesn't have a personal name. And so she decides to give him a name, and she gives the name of Leonard. And essentially, I think she said in her language, it's supposed to mean someone who has a courageous heart. And he's like, I can live with that. So his name is now Leonard. Okay. So it's Leonard and Serafi. Or Sorry, I guess. So, yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting. I am actually curious as to how this will go, because I'm assuming we're not going to see anything kind of lewd, I should say. And if it is, it's going to be implied. Because, I mean, I don't even know what the rating is for this show, but I'm assuming it's not for mature. And even if it is, that sort of thing would be more on High Dive, not Crunchyroll. Anyway, I hope you guys are excited for this show, because I certainly am. And like I said, I'm sorry about the lighting. I can't help it. The stupid blinds don't really do too much to help with that. Well, technically they do, because I'm sure the lighting would be much worse if it didn't. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.